Hey everybody, welcome to today's coaching call. This is our Wednesday lunch 12:30 session. So if you're just joining us, I'm so glad you're here. I just wanted to let you know that life can be so full and so busy that sometimes we just forget the most important thing, which is us. The most important thing in life is making sure that you can pay attention to what your heart's telling you, what your body's telling you. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Just curious in the chat if you're here for the first time. And also, if you have heard of the arrive method, just put an A for arrive if you've heard the arrive method. So while we're awesome. So at the end of the call, I'm going to offer a GPT that will help you continue this method in your everyday, day-to-day life. So the arrive method is something that I personally used to get in touch with what was going on, patterns that were not working in my life, right? So this is shutting down for me. I was finally paying attention to the fact that I was creating some experiences in life that I didn't want. And I had control over stopping these patterns. I had the ability to choose something differently, but it was a whole eye-opening experience to realize that I had a choice, because what's passed down to us is just habit. What's passed down from grandma to mom to me, it came like second nature, right? And so when I was at a seminar and somebody said, change your story, change your life. If you're familiar with that phrase, I was like, what? What do you mean change your story? It opened up this whole world of possibilities. And so it's not changing what the facts are about what happened to you, right? So the facts are I was born in Dallas, Texas. I was raised here in a Christian home. I was raised by wonderful parents. I was also raised in what was more like a cult than a church. So very rigid belief system. No alcohol, right? Does anybody relate to that? Like kind of the no dancing that's joked about with Southern Baptists. That wasn't us, but there were so many rigid things. And then there was one person at the top, and he had all the say. And so my whole life, I was living for the approval of that person, my family. I was pushing always to be the best I could be. Like these are the facts of my life. But when I turned 20, I'm an adult and I could have chosen anything. But the habits and the patterns that were already formed inside of me were so strong. And anyway, at the end of the day, I get to the last few years and I hear this change your story, change your life. And I'm like, how do I do that? What does that even mean? And so it's not changing the facts about your life, but it is looking at the question of what is a fact and what is a story. So the stories are the part that aren't 100% the truth. So if you say to yourself, I'm not pretty, is that the truth? Are you not pretty? To who? Who gets to decide that, right? So these are the kind of things like, I'm not worthy. Is that the truth? Or something like, I'm not going to ever ba ba ba. Or I've been so successful at da 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 da. Like those are things that we tell ourselves based on a set of beliefs or a set of ideas that somebody put in our head. Without getting into the weeds about change your story, change your life, here's the thing. As a woman who has lived as an adult for 15, 20, 30 years, you start to see patterns in other people's lives like, ooh, that's not working for them. But we don't slow down. I'm speaking mostly to high achieving women. We just push and go and we take care of everybody else. We're always looking to do the right thing. We support others, but also, so if you can relate to this in the chat, put an S for support. Like you love supporting people. Uh-huh. That was me. I love supporting people. So guess what? My favorite job I ever did was own a coffee shop. I supported a lot of people. And I noticed through that experience, a lot of my identity came from how I did my business, how I operated in day-to-day life, how successful I was in my business or perceived success, right? Because that's on a continuum. Like, what does that actually look like? We create the meaning of our own success. And I got to change what I thought about success and what I looked at when I saw other people. So as you notice patterns in other people, it's like, oh yeah, that's not working for them. But then it's like, hey, what about me? Stop looking at everybody else and what's not working for them, what's not working in my own life. And so I came head to head with that like a brick wall I ran into a couple of years ago. And I saw this need for a change in my own life at a time that was very critical for me to just make a decision. And I just decided that day, I'm not going to pass on this shutting down, this. There's a lot of different things that I decided I was not going to be a part of anymore. And I had the choice. And for the first time, I was like, I get to change this. So here's the next part where we're going to go into the arrive method. Okay. So the arrive method is what I used to actually change my mind, my body, and my spirit. Okay. And if you're at a place where you're like, I don't have time, well, you get to choose. Do you want to spend another day, another month, another year exhausting yourself, feeling like you're not enough, always performing, giving, 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 but then not really taking time to appreciate who you are? Because if you're a biblical person, the Bible is very clear, and I am Bible believing, but there's other religions that say the same thing. You have to, the airlines, put your own mask on. Love your neighbor as yourself. It's implied that we love ourselves. Okay. So when I realized, like, whoa, the reason I can't really be fulfilled going, 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 doing, doing, doing is because I haven't taken time to make sure that I've cared for me, loved myself, made sure that I was in touch with myself, in touch with God given design, which is I have intuition. I have the ability to say, this doesn't feel right, or that's not the right direction. I need to switch instead of letting outside people and just the next best business opportunity or the next best relationship or whatever it was. Instead of letting those things guide my life, I get to go in and I get to pause and breathe and the things that we're going to talk about here in a minute with the arrive method and decide, is this the way that I want to live for the rest of my life? And if the answer is no, I get to change it right now. Like, when's a better time than now? There's urgency because we're not promised tomorrow. A lot of you know my story. My brother passed away, and I wish I would have known what I know now, and I could have shared it with him. It's possible that he could still be alive because we were just so scrambled on our stories about who we were in the world and what it took to survive in the world, like how to do all those things. So my story now is I get to trust myself. And so do you. If you've ever struggled with trusting yourself, just put trust in the chat. And even if you don't feel comfortable putting it in the chat, I know that this is an issue for women because I see it and I experience it and I watch it day in and day out. So what I use to change my story and what I use to switch patterns that were no longer serving my life. Like I said, 2 years ago, I just was in this moment of clarity, like, whoa, this gets to change right now because ultimately my big why is my own kids. So I was passing things to my kids that I don't want to pass. I want to pass tuning into self, trusting yourself, paying attention in the world, not giving your power away, not to a person, not to a business. So if you struggle with trust and trust in yourself, you're not alone. I think that's really important to say because I think so many women just don't understand that trusting yourself is something that doesn't come natural. And it's a struggle to learn how to do that if you've never been taught or shown or given a good example of it. So here's one simple thing I'll ask you to do. Just take a deep breath. Let it out with a little bit of a sigh. You can close your eyes or just sit up straight. Clear your mind. Because this method will work if you will stick with me and practice. It's going to feel very mechanical at first, but I promise it's worth it. It felt very almost like feet in concrete when I very first started this process. And it almost felt like somebody was literally pulling me into my old pattern. And that's how it's going to feel because this is something you've done for however many years. But this is a pattern that you no longer want in your life because you don't want to pass it to your kids. You don't want to show up in the world this way anymore. So whatever it is for you, I'm going to use my example because I think it's very important. And I think it's very relatable. A lot of women can relate to shutting down. So I'm going to talk about me. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. So here's the thing. The very first part of this method is awareness. So 2 years ago, I became aware that something had to change. So if you have become aware that something in your life needs to change or gets to change, we're going to do this the rest of our days. But if it's something major and you're aware of it, I want you to count that as a huge win, because some people go their whole life and don't recognize patterns that need to change. And they pass it to their kids, and they did the best they could, right? I just want to put a caveat. My grandmother, my mom, they're amazing women. They brought me into the world. I'm so grateful for the sacrifices that they made and the kind of women that they are to this day. And the joy, the faith, the fun, the love, the experiences that I've had with my mom and my grandma are phenomenal. So I want to just put that out there. But when I became aware of a pattern of shutting down, a pattern of, for me, and victim mentality and keeping the story of abuse alive, also a pattern of just literally like playing small, like just shutting down, being quiet, and freezing. Can anyone, I bet you had somebody come to your mind when I just did that, right? So shutting down doesn't work. And this is one of many, many responses, but it wasn't working in my life. And I was thinking about my daughter. This happens a lot in the car for me, and I won't go into all of that, but we'd be driving somewhere and I'd be in the passenger seat. My husband would say something and I would just shut down. And I'm thinking, this is what my mom did. And I watched her do it. And I'm not going to do this for my daughter. So I'm going to walk you through the first step. When you're aware of something that needs to change, celebrate it. When you're aware, the next thing is, okay, what do I do now? I'm aware. Oh, crud, muffin. What happens now? And your body's so used to doing that pattern, you've got to be gentle with yourself when you start to change. Okay. So the next thing is reset. So what I would do, I would physically sit up straight. And the next thing I would do is do something like, okay, I've been very serious in these moments. I've focused on all the bad things, the negative things, things I don't like. Focus on something different. So I'd look outside. I would take a deep breath. I would smile. It was either raining, sunshine, windy, snowing, whatever the weather, appreciate that. You're alive. There's breath in your lungs. You're sitting next to people who love you. Also, I'm in a relationship that was a good one. I had people in the car that I wanted to appreciate. If your circumstances are different, just go with this for a minute and picture yourself in whatever your environment is. But for me, I could appreciate my external environment and my internal environment and myself. Like I have a body that is capable of change, and I get to breathe and I get to sit up straight and I get to smile. So A is awareness, R is reset, and just reset your body with different thoughts, different experiences, breath, a smile. Use what works for you. Okay, because resetting can be as simple as smiling, or it could be as simple as sometimes I just turn to my husband and be like, that's so silly. Like say something funny to lighten the mood. Why not? I just always thought, well, I'm mad, or I'm hurt, or I'm so offended, or I can't believe da 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 da. And I would spin, right? That's the spin that we get into. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work for solutions. It doesn't work for life. How much time did I waste in those moments of like just freezing and shutting down? Okay. So I became aware of it. Thank God. I'm so grateful for the circumstances that brought me to awareness. Number two, reset your body for just that moment. A lot of times it's just breathing, if that's all you can do at first, but find some other ways to bring some joy and some play into it when you can and when you're ready. Okay. No rush on that. Again, celebrate. Celebrate that this moment is happening. You get to choose something different. And it's going to feel excruciating at first because your body is used to that felt safe. Probably it's from childhood. I'm not going to get into that today. So the next one is the I. And this is where you're going to integrate a new thought. It's a question or a statement that's powerful. So for me, I was like, I am not going to show this to my daughter another moment. Lord, help me get out of this moment where all I want to do is just sit with I had my hands between my legs and I was like frozen and shut down and focusing on all the negative things and the things that were bothering me and upsetting me. What? Again, I had to breathe, and you're going to use the awareness, the reset, and the question all at the same time eventually, but right now. So for me, when I first started, it was very mechanical. And I talked myself through this process until my body, like an athlete, I trained my heart, my mind, and my body to get to a place where it came more naturally and I could shift quicker. But at the beginning, again, very gentle with yourself. Okay. So on the integrate, a new question or a new thought, this is going to take some time. It's got to become something that's so powerful. You're moved. You're moved to change. You're moved because you're telling yourself a new story. The new story is I will not shut down in front of my daughter. The new story is I'm not going to waste these moments with my precious husband because I don't know. Our days are all numbered. We don't know. Everyone that has something tragic happen to them, they said, I never thought it would be me. So it's kind of that, not a morbid thought, but live each day as if it's your last. How many people do we know that it ended too soon? So maybe that's powerful for you. For me, it was just like, I am literally determined I will not continue this pattern. So it was several questions, but the most powerful thing that I said in that moment is, how can you appreciate, Kendra, the love that you have right now in this moment even more? How can you appreciate the love you already have? Here I am pouting, shutting down, and being a horrific example to my daughter about how to deal with conflict and hurt feelings. And I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore because I have a lovely child or children in the back seat. And I wish I knew this for my first three. That yeah, we all have regrets, but we're here now, right? And we don't beat ourselves up for what the past is. You're changing it now. Celebrate that. But I have this lovely husband next to me. He has good character. He's honest. He loves us. He takes care of us. He provides for us. He brings me coffee every morning. Like, list out all the wonderful things in your life. And if you're alone and you do this, that's okay. You get to appreciate all the beautiful things that are in your life as well. And the beautiful things coming to your life. Because I promise you can continue to shut down, even if you're by yourself, because I know women like this as well. Shutting down is not going to open you up to more love. Shutting down, freezing, playing small does not open you up for expansion and abundance in your life. I'm not talking about money. Okay. So, really getting in touch with what's going on internally. And I will say that I've had so many hours of therapy, but there's nothing like becoming aware, making a decision, telling yourself that decision, and then the next after I is V, vision, putting this beautiful idea of what's possible in your mind. So if you are single, you're thinking about the kids in the back seat or the husband next to you or the wife, whatever it is. You're thinking about taking a walk in the beauty of the sunshine, in the field of flowers. You're thinking about a beautiful vision of who you get to be in the world. Where are you volunteering? Where are you making an impact? Well, if you're shutting down, it's not happening. So I could say all day long how much I loved making an impact, but I was wasting hours and hours, sometimes a week. But I was wasting a lot of time in a victim mentality and a shutdown mode, or just in state of overwhelm, right? So whatever that state is, I have a lot of tips and a lot of good ideas for you. If you're like, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do next. That's part of what the GPT is for. It's a little coach in your pocket that I'm going to provide at the end of the call. But here's the thing. If you'll get still with yourself and you'll get aware and invite somebody else into this awareness with you, somebody that you trust. When you do this process, it's impossible to fail. You will change. You will have success because I've watched it time and again. So here's the thing. Even though I've had a lot of therapy, I've been to a lot of seminars, I've put a ton of hours in, I've learned a lot, I have a social work degree. All these things have contributed to my success. But more than anything, I've just changed my mindset about my story. My story being, he hurt me, they hurt me, I'm going to shut down. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what else to do. Not anymore, folks. That is not who you see when you meet Kendra. I have decided, I made a decision. That's not going to be my story anymore. My story is impact, contribution in the world, helping as many women as possible get free, And so here's the thing, if I'm shutting down, I can't do that. If I'm focusing on the wrong things about anyone, including myself, if I'm focused on who I'm not, who I wish I was, just love on yourself a bit. Love on the people in your world. They're doing life for the first time today as well. There was no manual for any of us. So this big vision is having a bit more love and peace in your life and joy, for crying out loud. Like, our family turned on America's Funniest Home Videos constantly when we need to release and have some laughter, because laughter is such good medicine. So maybe your vision is with other people, maybe it's with yourself, but whatever it looks like for you to be super loving, peaceful, impactful, contributing in the world, like, we all want to be those things. We all want to do better. I do believe that. Maybe there's some people that have some circumstances where they've forgotten that for a moment. But I think for the majority, I'm not talking about the small percentage, the majority of the people in the world, they want to be better. They want to do better. They want to be better parents and better sons and daughters and friends, right? So all of that I want in my big vision for being a really dear friend, I want to send that letter, handwritten note. I want to send the flowers. I want to show up with a dinner for a girlfriend that's either had surgery or her family's going through something hard. I was pushing and pushing and pushing and then shutting down so often. I didn't have any energy for those things that I really wanted to do in my life, much less be consistently intentional with my kids. All right. So give yourself just a couple minutes. Let's see. Any questions? Give yourself a couple minutes to really focus on what could your vision look like? What does the vision, big vision, for when you come out of this pattern? Maybe you're not even sure how to name your pattern yet. That's okay. But you can still have a vision for what you want your life to be better than it is right now. Does it include music? Maybe it includes some love. Maybe it includes some happiness and joy. Something from childhood that was special that you want to bring back more of. Maybe you show up in your workplace like a totally new human and everyone's like, what is going on with her? What is going on with him? Okay, like, these are the things that we get to create. Change your story, change your life. We get to create our life. We get to decide. No one else. What's the legacy that you're going to leave? Because I promise you're leaving one to someone. You've impacted someone. My guess is you've impacted many. And you've done a great job. And now we're going to do we're going to do not a better job. We're going to change our story so that we can have a better experience of life than we did yesterday or an hour ago. And this is not about judging self. This is about just like, oh my gosh, freedom, freedom that I get to choose. And as soon as I see myself doing an old pattern, because this doesn't go away, newsflash, the arrive method will be something I use to the very end, because there's always an experience that comes up that might trigger me to go back. It's my default setting. It's like working out. Let me just give you an idea as you're still continuing to think about that big vision. When you go to the gym and you work out for 6 weeks, you see the change. Like, it's there in your body. You can see it and you can feel it, and other people notice it. And what happens if you decide for the next 6 weeks you're not going to go? You're going to see it. You're going to feel it. And people are going to be like, well, maybe they stop working out. Yeah. So it's the same thing with this method. When you're changing a pattern, you have to practice it every day for the rest of your life, right? Or things start to slip. Not to say that you need to work on it every single day for a long time. This becomes like clockwork. And then you see something that's coming in your life. Somebody is unfortunately getting sick in your life. There's difficult circumstances. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe your car went in the shop. Like, whatever it is that triggers you. Maybe a kid had a baby. This could be good things. But then you go into this mode. That's what I would do. Or like, oh gosh, there's just so much happening right now. Nope. You've got this. Use the arrive method. become aware of what's shifting to focusing on the negative, focusing on an old pattern that didn't work, reset your body, really just whatever works for you in that moment, and then integrate that thought because of the new vision. The question that says, how can I get to this vision? How can I appreciate the love I have right now? How can I show my neighbors, my kids, myself that I am going to do life different? It's powerful when you get that statement, that question, those thoughts, and then you have this big vision. And you're like, this is what I'm going after. For me, it wasn't even that big. It was just a change. It was just a simple shift to, I'm not going to show up this way anymore. And then my vision grew to, wow, we could be laughing right now, or we could be talking about the beautiful things in our life instead of me just over here like, if y'all could see me, like my hands are in between my knees, and this is like, my husband would be like, yep, that's what she did. I'd put my hands a specific way in my lap, and I would just kind of shrug down, and I would just be quiet. And I wasn't angry, but it just didn't work. So when I got a vision for what it could be, I started just saying, okay, this is what I'm going after. Oh, how do I do this? And I did the method. So the last one is embody, right? It becomes something you have to like tell yourself, I'm going to sit up straight. I'm going to ask the funny question or make a funny comment or say, what a beautiful day. Change it up. My husband calls it interrupted pattern. So you're embodying this new way of being more positive, more loving, more joyful, less shut down, whatever it looks like for you, less reactive, more thoughtful with clarity in your responses. This is the arrive method. So just to recap really quickly, A, awareness, and celebrate that. R, reset, breaths, smile, whatever works for you. I always love to say a friend just goes and brushes her teeth. Maybe it's a whole walk around the block. Maybe it's a massage. Maybe it's something that you just need to take a half a day to yourself to reset. Whatever it looks like, could be short, could be small. Write down 10 things you're thankful for. Whatever works for you. Reset your mind, your body, all of it. And then integrate that thought. So it's like mind, spirit, body all happening at the same time. You're going to integrate a question, a powerful thought, something that moves you to changing that internal narrative of I can't believe, how could they, whatever it is that got you in that state, you need to bring that to your awareness and your consciousness. Reset with a breath and say, now this is the new thought. And again, it feels very mechanical and very like at first, but this goes very fast once you practice, like in the gym. It feels very hard at first in the gym. It feels very hard to change a pattern that's been operating in your life for 20, 30, however long. Okay. So be gentle with yourself. So A, awareness, R, reset, I, integrate, and V, vision, and E, embody. And the V vision again is it can be anything and it can change. You can decide that this is really motivating. And then the next month or the next week, you're like, you know what? I realize this is what I want out of myself and in my relationships and how I show up in the world. I've always had a hard time having a big vision. Part of that is this whole my external world ran me, what other people thought, what other people wanted, right? So just be really gentle with yourself on that piece too. Ask me how I know, because vision can be hard for some people. Dreaming big can feel overwhelming. And if that's you, I can relate. So just practice having bigger vision than you had before about who you could be, how you can affect others in your world when you take care of yourself or when you tune in to what your body's telling you. Because I knew that shutting down didn't work, but I just didn't know how to get out of it. So these are the steps. And then embody. It starts to happen naturally, like I said. But at the beginning, you literally have to force your body to do something different. Sometimes I would force the smile. I was annoyed. I was frustrated. I was like, this is so hard. It feels like there's no way. My body was physically fighting me on changing my state, my physiology. So I hope this has been helpful. And I know that it's challenging to change a pattern. So I applaud you. I applaud you for being here. I applaud you for holding the line and being someone in the world that is absolutely changing patterns that no longer fit, changing patterns that no longer serve your life or the people around you. That could be your family, your work, wherever you're showing up and you're like, ooh, something's off. This gets to be fun too. Like I said, add music, add movement, make it fun. Life is serious enough. My goodness, we have enough things that are going on in our day-to-day world, our day-to-day lives that are heavy. Make changing patterns fun. And I would love to hear from you the freedom that you experience when you actually make these changes. It's remarkable. And the way that your face will light up even faster. And it's not about ignoring the pain, ignoring the circumstances, ignoring somebody that hurt your feelings. That's a whole different talk, okay? This is how you're responding to whatever events, people, how they're impacting you. This is about just changing what internal monologue, dialogue is going on. Okay? So I hope the Arrive method really impacts you and really gives you a tool for how to do the changing. It's a whole nother conversation for how do you then pull other people into that change, right? But you got to do it for yourself first because you absolutely, when you change your pattern, when you change how you show up, you can't help but affect the people around you. So I just want to encourage you with one last thing. As you use the Arrive method, as you change your responses that are not serving your life, and I'm going to say for a personal example, you start to see things and life opens up in a whole new way because it's not taking away the pain. I've had plenty of that. It is about changing who I am, how I think of myself, how I show up in the world, and then you get to have an experience of life that is like no other. You're impacting people all around you, and you'll never know how many people you affect. Because if I affect my daughter, I don't know how many kids she's going to have. I don't know what her career is going to look like. I don't know how many people she's going to impact because I taught her a different way than shutting down, a different way than I would even hold my breath, by the way. So when you change, you have no idea the impact that you're going to have on the world. I've always said I wanted to change the world. Okay. And now I feel like I'm getting to because I'm changing it just with the next generation, changing a pattern that I know for me has been in my family at least 94 years because my grandma turns 94 next week. And I know the pattern that I've watched in her of replaying who hurt her, what they did, poor me, instead of talking about things that are beautiful in the world. And I'm not saying shut your people out. No, keep listening, let them be them, but you choose a new way. And the way that you choose affects how the world moves. If all, can you imagine if all of us decide to change a pattern that's not working, to change a pattern that is actually hurtful instead of one that brings more love and joy? I mean, it's exciting to me. So I hope this is encouraging and I hope that you're inspired. And more than anything, I want you to know I'm cheering for you. So in the chat, we're going to say goodbye and I'm going to drop a link. I'm going to drop a link right now. I'm so thankful for those of you who showed up and keep showing up, keep doing this work, keep being somebody who decides, make your decision, and change what's no longer serving your life, whether it's a response, a thought, the way you take care of yourself. I'm cheering for you. Have a great rest of your week.